Hi, Ted. I hope that you're feeling okay um, when you see this. I feel a little foolish doing this. I know it's a little strange, especially when I talk about kind of what happened. You might be wondering why this open letter would be called Mental Illness and Responsibility. I'll explain that pretty soon. But I know that you're going to make it through this. I know that you're going to make it and you're going to be okay. And you'll be laughing about it over tea before you know it. So let's just dive right in. So you already know that I have a mental illness. That's pretty obvious. Specifically, I have schizoaffective, which means I tend to drift towards psychosis and mania. So mania, where I can't stop thinking; psychosis, where I think things that aren't real, where I lose touch with reality. Um, but so yeah, so last night and yesterday, I had some psychosis. It's a complex experience. I'm gonna be writing about it actually, but I'm gonna focus on what's most important as involves you. So, you and Legacy Initiative were definitely on my mind. Everybody was on my mind. And it's kind of strange how my delusions work, but basically, what I think I'm doing when I get psychotic is I think that I'm having conversations with people who are not immediately in the vicinity, who are not in the immediate vicinity, who are, in fact, um, sleeping in a hospital bed, for instance. And yet, I think I'm having conversations with them. It's this kind of strange way of looking at things. But I believe that we were talking to each other, and I believe that um, you were teaching me how to be more of an extrovert. Well, I was teaching you more about introspectionism and how to introspect. And it's kind of a complicated experience how it happens and how these things happen. I was basically um, just admitting that I wanted you to feel well and wanted you to be well. And so I started like listening to music and like just daydreaming and drifting and looking up uh, looking up words. And I remember this delusion specifically where I was like, "What's wrong with Ted's heart?" And it seems so foolish now, but I looked up a section of a new book that I got called The New Science by Vico, and the word that popped up was corollary. And I swear corollary is a word related to the heart somehow. So I was like, so we need to diagnose Ted's condition. So Ted's condition is there's a problem with his corollary, there's a problem with his ventricle valve, and I could never say it even at the time. I don't know what it is. I don't even know what that is. And then there's a problem with his aorta, and we've got to fix that. But once we do, we're going to be good. And of course, I mean, I doubt you have those severe problems. Um, but I was assuming that, you know, somehow I was helping. And anyway, so I know this sounds crazy. I don't really believe that as this was happening, I was really like healing you. I don't want to make myself out to be like some kind of like psycho healer, for instance. But that was still my dream. But well, that wasn't my dream. But my dream was connecting and hoping that through some weird like telepathy or something, I could be your guardian, and you could be my guardian, and you were my guardian. This is important because one of the conspiracy theories that I had at this time was that this is happening. This happened out of malice. Somebody staged this heart attack, and I know that's a terrible notion to entertain. Um, but I thought that this had happened because you'd become the president of Legacy, and because the powers that be didn't want you to do really good work. So yes, conspiracy theories galore, but it's really what I felt, and that was why I felt that we both needed protection, and I'd assumed that we were both connecting. Um, it's kind of like in my book, as you'll find out when Maxwell's talking to Phoenix, and they're talking about deeper connections with people, and Maxwell says, you know, I dream about what you dream about too, Phoenix, where I want to connect with people very deeply. And that's what I was trying to do in this very metaphysical, delusional, strange, psychotic, mental illness way. But I was trying to connect with you, and um, there was one part where I found out that you were sleeping as all of this was happening, and I dreamed that, or I imagined that um, you were dreaming about this experience, and you were basically connected in my mind. I know that sounds bizarre, uh, but by dreaming and by sleeping, our minds were kind of connected. So anyway, I don't want to take too much of your time, but really just understand that, and we can talk about this more in depth because there's a lot to it, that these experiences are symbolic of my desire to keep you safe and to heal your heart. It doesn't mean that that's what I could ever do. I don't have the arrogance or um, uh, strangeness to believe that I could actually do such a thing, but I think that we can indeed metaphorically heal each other's hearts. And I feel like you've done that for me, and that's why I want you to get better. Um, so I'm gonna close with a passage from The Street Kid. It's it makes me really happy that you purchased this book and that you want to read this book. And so I'm gonna close with one of the most important passages in this book, and I'll explain the significance. Phoenix opened his eyes, felt his heart still trying to give out, but still also fighting for life. He looked at the white, bright light road in front of him, saw that as the car continued to move, it got brighter and brighter, as though they were moving toward heaven, and his heart kept trying to stop. How long do we have to keep fighting? Phoenix asked. We keep doing this until, the Lion Cub said, but he trailed off. However, Phoenix didn't need an answer, as that answered the question enough. He only lay his head back against the seat again, feeling the light getting brighter and brighter around him, feeling the road becoming more and more like his home, like a band of light worth following, and Phoenix felt his heart getting weaker and weaker, and he realized that every pinnacle of his life detailed that his heart needed to stop at the end, so he could be reborn, each phase, his death before birth, the mountain of pain, his reaching, and now his road, always darkening, and it made Phoenix smile, the thought of being reborn. When his heart stopped, it would start up again, and he'd be stronger for it. He'd be more understanding, and as the light continued to flood around him, Phoenix continued to keep his smile. He knew that the road was just going to get brighter and brighter, no matter what, and finally Phoenix's heart stopped, and all he saw was light that refused to stop. All he felt was flight. He felt peace. So anyway, you probably figured out what it means, but just to kind of recap and encapsulate, Phoenix's heart stops because it needs to be stronger, as you probably figured out, and it is the process of rebirth. So I hope that I can pass these metaphors on to you and get better, Ted. I'm thinking of you, Phoenix.